Do you think that salespeople sometimes forget what it feels like to be a buyer?
I think that is a problem. Obviously, we're all buyers, and we've all said yes at some point. It would be helpful for us to recollect exactly what our emotional and mental state was when we said yes. It probably was because we saw something that we knew we could really benefit from. The price was right, the person who was selling it felt good, and so why not? Yes. And there was an excitement about it. There was a sense of having accomplished something. If we as salespeople can recognize that what we're trying to do is bring about that state where intellectually and emotionally it's go in the other person, and remember what that felt like for ourselves, then again, we're much more likely to be in this collaborative kind of place with our prospects.
But aren't salespeople supposed to do everything in their power to get the buyer to buy?
No, I don't think so. I think that actually what a salesperson is supposed to do is to, as I mentioned earlier, open gates in a decision process. Enable a prospect to come to a place where he or she says yes to a proposition that makes really good sense to them. I don't think that, certainly between adults, that the way to get to that is by telling someone or pressuring someone or pushing someone into a decision. Chances are that anyone who's pressured into making a purchasing decision will unmake that decision as soon as you step out of the office.
How much credence do you give to nonverbal cues?
I think a lot of communication is nonverbal. And unless we pay attention to the nonverbal signals, we're half communicating. However, I think it's important not to make assumptions about what things mean. There are schools of thought that will tell you that such and such a gesture means such and such a thing. For example, leaning back supposedly means I'm resisting your argument. But it could also mean I'm having a better look at you, and I'm looking at you from another vantage point. Yes, it's very likely that a person leaning forward and focusing on you is really listening to what you're saying. Those are probably cues that you can trust. But I wouldn't necessarily go around with a sort of a nonverbal dictionary in the back of my head, this means so-and-so. However, having said that, I think it's very important to pay attention to what the person is doing and saying. And, you know, developing one's intuition is an important part of this. We often think that intuition is the realm of women. But really, there are some wonderful examples of statesmen and athletes and industrial captains who are extremely intuitive about sensing when a mood has changed, when a feeling is there. Sometimes you can also pick up nonverbal cues just by the environment. What is the office like? What is the home like? There's a lot of information that an individual is providing to you continually. And by staying as attentive as possible to all levels of that communication, your communication becomes more effective.